Welcome to the Illuminate podcast. I'm your host, Cindy Minetto. Illuminate is a place to gather together in community where I can share anything that's lighting me up so they can light you up too. We're going to learn together from others and their stories so that each of us can shine a little bit brighter every day. As we fill our own lights, we can spread that light to others and make the world a more beautiful place. Hello and welcome to the Luminary podcast. It's Cindy Minetto. It's 2025. I took a little hiatus. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do an episode every week and it's going to be great. And then the holidays hit. And this was the first year that I really felt like the busyness of the holidays. And I did try to manage it well, but just 4 small children. And I hosted and held multiple parties, which I love because I love gathering people. So it fueled me, but also just required lots of brain power. And so I decided to give myself grace. At first I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I only did a few episodes before taking this big long break. But you know what? It was needed. It's winter. It's time to hibernate. And so I was spending time with my family and loved ones and had a wonderful Christmas season. Thanks for asking. No one asked. I'm telling you. But I do have, with it being the new year, I do have New Year's thoughts. I mean, doesn't everyone? I feel like New Year's is a time of like reflection and goal setting, obviously, for so many people. And I do always get contemplative. Like I naturally am like a thinker. I often will ask my husband, like I'll be like having these deep thoughts. My family actually growing up, we called it mind tracking, which I have like said since being married. I'll be like, yeah, I was mind tracking. And my husband's like, that's not a real thing. That is something that was only used in your family. But mind tracking is when like one thought leads to another. Maybe it is a real thing. You know what? I'm giving it a Google. Mind tracking. Google machine. Mind tracking can refer variety of technologies and practices that measure or track mental activity like a wearable device or app. Nope, that's not the kind of mind tracking I grew up with. Mind tracking for us was like a train track. Like one thought leads to another, and sometimes it leads you down like to a new track, but it was all connected in your mind. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I do think maybe it's something that was just used in my family. So anyway, so I'll often be like mind tracking and I'm thinking like of deep, like contemplative things, or I'm like, I've started thinking about something insignificant and then end up like down a really like profound like thought process. And in these moments, I'll like turn to my husband if he's being quiet and I'm like, okay, what are you thinking about? And usually his is like, I don't know, golf, or like there's been more than once where he's like, I don't know, nothing. And I'm like, wait, hold up. You're literally thinking of nothing? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like your mind is like a white picture, or like what's the picture in your mind? He's like, there's not a picture in my mind. And as like a very visual thinker and processor and learner, like that like blew my mind the first time. I'm like, I don't get it. Like it's like a white screen. Like he's like, what do you mean a screen? And I'm like, I don't understand how you're not thinking of anything, because my brain is always kind of thinking. And like I said, especially like around New Year's, I get really contemplative and I start to think about my year. And then I did like a little recap video, like, you know, a lot of people did on Instagram. But when I was doing that, I was going through and looking at pictures and videos, and that made me think even more and reflect on the year that we've had. And 2024, honestly, was a great year, but also was it was a challenging year for me, for our family. We just had a lot going on. We had a new baby come, baby number 4 babies in 5 years, really, really quickly humbled us. Like it was a lot. My baby is very cute, but he was a tough baby at first, like my neediest baby, my most emotional baby. He had the hardest time sleeping, maybe besides Becca, my oldest. But anyway, there was just a lot. And then in the midst of that, we were deciding if we were going to move like cross country, if my husband was going to take a risk with his job, what I was doing with stuff here with Luminary. Anyway, there was just like a lot. There was a lot of things we were navigating. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, 2024, did I say 2025 earlier? Maybe. But 2024 really there was a lot that happened in that year. And of course we like see the highlights of on people's Instagram and feel like maybe we're the only ones that had kind of some moments that were shite, but there were some shite moments in there. That's okay. We learn from those too. So So in thinking, I actually I did a vision board. It was in February, so not quite the beginning of last year in 2024, but I joined a container, a group of women where it's to be certified as like an elemental life coach, but there's also like a lot of components, like some business coaching, some mastery things, like breakout groups. Anyway, it was a really good container. But one of the challenges was to do a vision board. So I pulled mine up and I was looking at it and I was like, holy crap. So many of these things came true, which is funny because even some of them were like really subtle. So, for example, in February, I added like a camera. If you're watching on YouTube, which literally no one is, because I think there's been like one view on YouTube, but it just seems like a podcasting thing to say. Maybe I'll share it on Instagram. But like I put a nice Suburban on here because I really wanted an SUV instead of a minivan. Guess what? We have an SUV. I put my family on the beach, not even knowing. We ended the year with a beach vacation. I did put a camera. That's what I was saying. I got distracted. I put a camera on here because I wanted to do a podcast, launch the podcast in 2024. I put like a girl lifting weights. I just like had a goal to be like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get fit. And I just shared this on my Instagram, but I joined Burn Boot Camp, not sponsored. However, I love you, Burn, forever and ever, amen. And when we moved here being to Utah, I started going to Burn, and I have like muscle definition, and I really, really kickstarted my physical health journey, and I have like muscle for the first time in my life. So that's cool. That's on my vision board. And I didn't even intend for that to be like what came from it. I just knew I wanted to like quote unquote get in shape. I have on here, which this is the funny one. There's like disco balls. I just like put it on here because I was like, I just kind of want to have more fun and play. Not even realizing, guess what I threw at the end of the year? Not one, but 2 Christmas parties where I gathered people, had fun, and guess what the theme was? Not even remembering it was on my vision board. Disco Christmas. What? Vision boards are cool. So careful what you put on yours, but also be intentional with what you put on yours. So that was my first thought. 2024 was good. Some great things happened. Hard things happened. We learn, we grow. 'Tis life, right? So then going into 2025, I feel like there's always like an influx. Obviously, it's January of like goal setting and talking about crushing your goals and doing all these different things. And I like that. Like if that works for you, that is great. I'm not like opposed to that. But I also feel like for the last few years, I have focused more on setting goals with the seasons. In winter, aka right now, although it is sunny in Utah. And like I think it's like 50 today, which is actually quite warm for January in Utah. But in winter, you're supposed to hibernate, right? Like seasonally, historically, that is what we used to do. We used to kind of hunker down, would really work hard in the summer, or the spring is kind of when to kickstart things, work hard through the summer and into the fall and kind of wind down towards the fall. And then in winter is a time to rest, to reflect, to rejuvenate. So I've really tried to focus on that for the last few years. And then in the spring is when I kind of do more like specific goal setting, for new goals, for more changes, for more like kind of big goals that are growth oriented. I set closer to the spring. But that being said, I do have some specific goals for 2025. I shared this just like briefly on my Instagram, but like for example, at Burn Boot Camp, I want to hit 250 camps next year. They let you sign the wall. It's maybe silly. I hit 100 this year, which was once again a goal of mine. I wanted to hit it before Christmas, and I hit it Christmas Eve, which was really fun. It was even cuter actually to see my kids' responses because Becca, my oldest, who's 6, was like, "Mom, did you do it?" Like the day that I did, and I was like, "Yeah, I did." He was like, "Yes!" And my kids started like dancing and cheering. It was really cute. I want to work on my pelvic floor. For those that have had babies, you know your pelvic floor post babies is not where it needs to be. And I did pelvic floor therapy after my first and second, but then not after number 3 or number 4. So one of my goals this year is to do that so that I can do double unders and not pee my pants at the gym, because that is one of my goals. And I said that to a friend. She was laughing. It's like, no, but it's also serious. Like it's funny, but also not. I also am going to do more work in TLC on my nervous system. I think maybe I'll do a whole episode about kind of what's been going on with that, but I've just been having some weird physical symptoms. like some dizziness, a lot of headaches. I've had some weird like GI issues, and I come from a family that has autoimmune issues. If you're listening, family, I love you, but I don't want the same issues. I actually don't think that they listen. I don't know if any of my family members listen. Family members, if you listen, tell me. I don't think anyone does. But autoimmune, so that's kind of been something I'm always very aware of is what am I doing to either help prevent or avoid certain diagnoses? Is that the right way to phrase that? And what can I do to add more health and wellness in my life? Like that's kind of a thing that I think about often, probably almost daily. And anyway, so these physical symptoms were starting to pop up. And initially I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get diagnosed with an autoimmune thing. And then I was like, you know what? There is like something else going on. So I told Tyler on a date, I was like, hey, I'm having these weird physical things. He's like, what's going on? I was like, I'm really dizzy. I have like wicked fatigue. I've had like weird GI issues. My heart has been doing like a little weird thing. And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of weird. I can't figure it out. He was like, these are all big things. Ooh, like, you're dumb. Go get them checked out. And I was like, no, because like in my gut, in my heart, I know that it's not like huge yet, but I do feel like it's something that needs to be taken care of. I just can't figure out who to go to. So when was it? September, I did do a bunch of hormone testing. I don't think I've shared about that yet on the podcast. I did some hormone testing and I've been on like a hormone protocol to make sure that I am regulated because my testosterone was really, really high and my progesterone was really, really low. So I was really fluctuating between the two rather than kind of maintained in between. You need both testosterone and progesterone. So I was kind of like oscillated between rage, which is more testosterone based, and then progesterone. Anyway, I was kind of all over the place, like emotion wise. So I've been on a whole like protocol for that, which has really helped. But then once again, these physical symptoms started to pop up. Now, how do I phrase this? So many of the things when I go to phrase them on the podcast, I'm like, gosh, that sounds spicy. But like maybe I'm just a little bit spicy. That's okay. Once again, because I come from a family history of autoimmune stuff, I'm always like very mindful of that. So when these popped up and Tyler was like, go somewhere now. At first I was like, I'm not going to go anywhere because I don't want to hear what they have to say. And see, spicy. Maybe I'm spicy. But then my sweet husband was like, okay, then I'm not going to go we were on a date when this happened. He's like, I'm not going to go on a date with you until you go get it checked out. And I was like, rude. And he was like, no, because you are stubborn enough. You're not going to go anywhere. And these things are serious. So I was like, fine, I will go get checked out. So I take my kids to a really phenomenal chiropractor here in Utah. I have seen a chiropractor pretty much regularly, probably since I was 20. At first it was for like physical, like I was like, oh, my neck hurts. I'm having aches and pains. And then I started to learn more about what they do for like the whole body health. I saw a chiropractor through every single one of my pregnancies, postpartum periods. I actually credit chiropractic care to a huge part of why I have like very beautiful labor and delivery experiences. So I'm a believer in chiropractic work. All chiropractors are not created equally, but I'm a believer in finding a good chiropractor. So anyway, so I take my kids to this great chiropractor who is very nervous system based, which a lot of the good chiropractors are, but they don't always necessarily explain to you that that's what they're doing. Like just today, Tyler came with me as he went over my results, this chiropractor, and he was saying that he was like, the good ones, that's what they're doing is they're not like popping and cracking you because it feels good. They are popping and cracking because there is subluxations, basically like tension, tightness in the spinal column, in the nerve, which then allows the nervous system, the electrical system of your body, it can't communicate. So what we're doing is the way he explained it was like, for Tyler especially, because he like, even when I started taking we take our boys there right now, he was like, I don't get how chiropractic care is going to help with his anxiety. And I was like, it's not like his spine that's causing the nervousness in our son. It's that his nervous system is in a stressed out, anxious state all the time because it can't communicate properly. So to get everything in alignment is what's going to allow for the nervous system to function like it's supposed to be in either fight or flight if needed, if there's a dangerous situation, if there's a stressful situation. But when it's not, that it can enter that rest and digest state, which like for our son, for myself, I'm not often in. So that was a long way to get to what I'm trying to say is that one of my New Year's goals is to work on my nervous system. In my scans, he looked at like just where it's at overall. And it's just stressed out. Like my nervous system is just overloaded, and I have parts of my my nervous system, my spinal column that aren't properly letting the communication flow through. And if you think about it, what controls your immune system? What controls your digestive system? Your nervous system. Like your nervous system literally is controlling all of that. That's your brain communicating. And so when that is not communicating properly, of course these other things aren't communicating properly. So if your nervous system stays in a stressed out space for a long time, then your immune system, your digestive system are going to be in stressed out places for a long time, which leads to some of these different diagnoses that we see or different issues. So with that, I know that for me right now, the best thing I can do for some of the physical symptoms I'm having is to take care of my nervous system, and that it will allow for things to kind of work themselves out. I'm generally healthy overall. And the interesting thing for like autoimmune stuff specifically is it's more often in women, first of all. Second of all, there's usually a trigger, which if anyone that has a diagnosis will tell you, oh yeah, there was like, stress that triggered it, or we had this event, or I had this weird allergy that flared up and it triggered it, or sometimes pregnancy or childbirth can trigger an autoimmune thing. And it's because that's just like the final piece that put your nervous system into overdrive. And it was like, I can't do this anymore. So that's another goal. Nervous system, hit 250 camps. Don't pee when I jump. Those are kind of it for like actual goals that I have this next year. For now, like I said, in spring, I usually set some more specific goals. But more than that, for the last few years, I actually think, have we done this every year of our marriage? I think this was actually Tyler's idea that we started doing, and other people do it. We're not the only ones who do this, but we just pick a word of the year. So like last year, my word was enjoy, just to like enjoy more, to kind of slow down and enjoy things. Before that, it was soar. We had one that was, oh gosh, I'll have to ask Tyler if he remembers the others. But my words of the year, my main word is fly this year. Like I feel like I actually had a friend who shared like a really similar thought the day, and I was like, dude, this is literally exactly what I've been feeling. So I didn't ever think I would be a person for whom a butterfly became symbolic, but a butterfly is very symbolic of this, because when was that podcast? It's probably been 3 years, maybe more. I was listening to a different podcast, and she was talking about how people like to talk about the transformation of a butterfly and how it ends up as this beautiful creature that we all like to look at. But how before that, in the in-between, people are like, oh, it's a caterpillar and then it's a butterfly. There is a phase, she called it the goo phase. The goo phase is where the caterpillar literally, like, I don't even know, actually, I should probably look this up because I talk about it all the time. But like absorbs itself and becomes goo in order to rebuild and become the butterfly. And she talks about how it's the goo phase. It's hard, like when you're in the goo phase. And it's one of those things that resonated with me so much, because I was heavily in my goo phase at that point. Like I was really figuring out a lot in terms of like what I believed and who I was. I'd entered motherhood like 2 years prior. And so I was like, okay, who am I? Like, what is going on? It was during COVID, so there was like a lot around like political stuff and COVID and medical and just all the junk that came with that. And so I felt like I was very much in my goo phase. So then I've kind of been in like a gooey phase for a while, for the last few years. So going into 2025, I want to fly. I'm ready to like let some of that goo go, let that shit go, and move forward and like truly spread my wings. And my husband actually gave this gift to a couple of my friends this year because I thought it was so beautiful, and my husband saw how much I loved it. I'm showing you on the video, but literally no one besides like one random person on YouTube will see it. So my husband saw how much I love it's a pressed butterfly, like a what's the word? Oh my gosh, what is that word? Preserved? Like not taxidermied, it's not an animal. Anyway, it's in a glass case. Beautiful, beautiful butterfly. And this one specifically, the message is to like get spiritual messages to find awe and wonder in the journey. And so that's what I want to do this year is I am going to fly. Like I'm going to let the other stuff go. I feel like in the healing world, people kind of get almost like addicted to healing in a way, like kind of addicted to the pain and the grit of it, which definitely happens. Like I am not here to be like, it's all easy and beautiful. Like it's not. But I also feel like I want to let the things go that I've been like kind of dwelling in or staying victim to as part of my quote unquote healing journey, and I'm ready to fly. I don't know if that makes sense. It does to me. I saw a quote the other day that I was like, yes, that's it. And it was just, if it doesn't help me glow, grow, or flow, then it's a no. Like, can I tattoo that to my forehead? Maybe. Because that is what it is. If it doesn't help me glow, if it does not light me up, if it does not bring me joy, and that can be like a social invite. If it doesn't make me light up, like it's a no. If it doesn't bring me joy, it's a no. If it doesn't help me grow, and these are where the grow is where sometimes the things that like we don't want to do, but we should. Like if, like for example, I guess another goal I have is I want to run a half marathon this year. And is that always going to be comfortable? Not necessarily. Is it going to help me glow? Eventually, but probably not when I first start running because it's been a hot minute. But it's going to help me grow, right? And then flow. Is it going to bring ease? Is it going to bring stillness? Is it going to bring the pauses that I need with my kids, with my family, with myself? And if it doesn't, then it's a no. If it doesn't help me glow, grow, or flow, it's a no. Isn't that so good? I was like, yes, that is it. So those are kind of my big themes of the year, that fly and that like letting that go. Along the same lines, in my mind, it's like under that fly umbrella part of that is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the work of Mel Robbins, but she has something called the let them theory. And she talks about it on her podcast, her social media. She has a book about it I actually been listening to. And she talks about this theory, this concept of let them. That we spend so much of our time and energy trying to control other people, which first of all doesn't change anything. And then second of all, only depletes us of our energy. So, by embracing the concept of let them, we then can fly. We then can soar, which is my theme for the year, right? So, for example, but what if my cousins think I'm weird? Let them. Like, it does not impact me. It really doesn't. What if my kids eventually need therapy because I'm messing them up? Me. I worry about that. I have that thought all the time. Like, oh my gosh, but what about therapy? Guess what? Let them. Like, I can't control that. What if it makes my husband frustrated? Obviously, I can't be mindful, but I can't control his emotions. Let them. What if my coworker is grumpy at me? Let them. Like, you are not in control of them. So much of us are losing so much of our power by giving it to other people, even if that is unknowingly. So that is another big part of my fly, my word of the year, my fly. Most of all, my final thought for the new year is that you are already worthy of great things and goodness in your life. You don't have to earn them. You don't have to grind harder to make things happen in your life. You don't have to punish yourself for anything for last year, for not reaching goals, or for not being where you quote unquote, should be right now. Like, who cares? You are here. Like, you are still around. You are still a human. You are still living, you are still loving, you are still growing. We are all doing the same thing. Like, it's just another year of humaning. And I just want, myself included, all of us to have more of an abundance of self-love, right now for this year, for the fact, and once again, it's simply because like we're still here and still alive. And every single person in 2024, every single person you know, every single human you interact with went through multiple hard things in that year. So the fact that we're here kicking off another year is beautiful. Like you are already worthy of the good things you want from 2025 and beyond, right? Like there's like such the thing that I don't like about kind of like the typical New Year's is that feeling like we have to earn it, where it's like, okay, it's going to be a good year once I do X, Y, and Z. It's going to be, good if I hit this goal. No, it's going to be a good year just because like you deserve to have a good year. Like it's going to be a good year because you're going to grow and you're going to love and you're going to have more experiences that make you a great person. Like that's it. A little soapboxy, sorry. I feel very passionate about this. To end, I'm going to share a quote that I saw on the old gram the other day. Did I cry when I read it? Yes. Will I cry again? Hope not. It's from someone named Xana Keithley. I don't even know who that is. I should probably have Googled it. It's someone, is it a poet? I don't know. Let's give it a Google. Xana Keithley. Who are you? An internet personality. Well, look at that. She is, one-stop shop for manifestation, mindfulness, chakra hearing. You know what? Surprised I don't know you, Xana Keithley, but I like this quote you shared. So, here it is. She said, "And as for me, as the clock strikes midnight and one year gives way to another, I will keep my feet on the ground and my eyes toward the sky, and I will place my hand on my beating heart, and I will breathe. And it will be a new year, but there will be no new me, no list of ideals that I wish I could be. It took a long time to get here, to learn how to love myself in this skin. And as I peel back the layers of everything I'm not, I realize that I like the person I am. Me, just me. Imperfect and flawed, but beautiful and worthy of my own love. And I will honor the journey that's brought me here today. I will find peace in my own being. I will not spend my entire life." Sorry, my kid just came in. Pause. What?
When are you gonna be done? Because
I'm almost done.
I need a snack.
Yes, go get a snack quickly. 2 minutes.
Can we get snacks?
Yes, go get snacks.
And
I'm recording.
A surprise for you to see.
Okay, in a second. Okay, I'll come see it in just a minute. Okay, let me just finish. I'm literally almost done. Okay, go out. Shut the door quietly.
Can I do play?
I'll come get you when I'm done, and you guys can.
Can I play up here?
No, not until I'm done. I'll come get you when I'm done. Yes, go get a snack and then go downstairs.
Okay.
Okay, shut the door quietly. Really cool. Those are awesome. Okay, shut the door quietly. Thank you. Okay, shut it quietly. Please shut it all the way. Okay, that's fine. You're good. Okay. Sorry, I was interrupted by my kids. They had to show me a hot wheel that they found that had been missing. It's very exciting. So, this quote from Xana is, "And as for me, as the clock strikes midnight and one year gives way to another, I will keep my feet on the ground and my eyes toward the sky, and I will place my hand on my beating heart, and I will breathe. And it will be a new year, but there will be no new me, no list of ideals that I wish I could be. It took a long time to get here, to learn how to love myself in this skin. And as I peel back the layers of everything I'm not, I realize that I like the person I am. Me, just me. Imperfect and flawed, but beautiful and worthy of my own love. And I will honor the journey that's brought me here today. I will find peace in my own being. I will not spend my entire life chasing my worthiness like it's always just out of reach, because I know I can find it here, right here, in my body, in my breath. And as a new year comes, I have no grand resolutions, no bold proclamations about who I will become. No. All that I have is this one sacred promise that no matter where this path takes me, I will never again withhold from myself my whole and complete love." That is all. That is all that I hope for this new year, is that we can all give ourselves more love as we navigate life, more light as we figure it all out together, and just have an abundance of good and great things in 2025. I can't wait to see where Luminary goes, where I go. It's going to be a beautiful year. So buckle up and let's go. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I will talk to you next week. I will do it.